Most dual cabs, and at least of all D40s, don't pull up like this. So, another day. We have a Nissan Navara D40 that needs its front brake pads, rotors, rear drum, shoes, wheel cylinders, flush the brake fluid, and bleed the system as well, obviously. Now, I'm going to get all the parts. The guy doesn't exactly know what he needs, so we're going to go through the car, have a look, see what he needs. If he doesn't need stuff, that's alright, we'll return it. If he does need it, that's also alright, because we'll have all the parts. So I'm going to go collect the parts now. I'm actually going to call them first. G'day, how you doing? Just calling in regards to getting a quote on a few things on my Nissan Navara. I'll give you the reg number.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
329F for Foxtrot, a D40.
Yep. What parts do you offer?
Front pads and rotors, rear brake shoes, wheel cylinders, drums, please.
Do you know what size rotors are on the front?
No. Is there any indicator for the front that'll tell me that? Because I'm pretty sure the petrols have the bigger ones.
Do you know if it's got 16 or 17 inch wheels?
I do not. I can find out. The rims are 16s, so it turns out, and this has happened before, turns out that these D40 Navaras, because there's a few different builds. I think there's like a Spanish build and maybe a Korean build, but there's a couple of different rotor sizes. So generally speaking though, you get that with bigger engines in terms of, I've noticed that the petrol ones are generally, they have a bigger rotor. I think they're like a 320 mil or something, where the diesels will be a 298 mil, but we'll confirm that. But parts person was like, just see what size wheels they have. So are they 16s or 17s? And the customer reckons that they are 16s. So now we know. Alright, gonna go grab his stuff. Yeah, thank you so much. I'll make a couple of chips. So we got the parts. I got another order while I was there, so after we do all this stuff, which is going to be cutting it close now, I'm gonna have to run and do a Mitsubishi Triton MR. Again, it was one of those ones where the rotor sizes change, so MR is different to MQ, MR being the newer one. So got all that sorted, good ceramic pads, this, that, the other. But first jobs first, we got to go and do this Navara and see what he needs. Maybe it's just some front pads and rotors and a bleed of a system, or maybe he needs everything done. Find out shortly. All right, so we'll grab the key. Oh, did you say the keys were in it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, yeah, so I can see straight up these rotors, yeah, they do have a little bit of scoring. I imagine it wouldn't be too pleasant to drive. We'll have a look at the, too much of your time, because I remember you said you were pretty busy. Brake fluid is definitely getting low.
Yep. Which is an indicator that the pads are low. And yeah.
That's right. And you reckon you check these? There shouldn't really be leaking back here. That's right. That's right. No, that looks good. Beauty of this is, obviously, I'm going to record me doing the job as well, so you can check it out later. But I'll be using ceramic brake pads. As I mentioned, I'll be using an OEM replacement rotor, which is just factory, but instead of paying the Nissan price, which is like 3 times as much, we're just going to be paying the same price, just an aftermarket brand. Cleaning everything XYZ. I will adjust the rears, and I will after I check if they need to be changed, and I'll definitely give it a bleed and top up the fluid. But generally speaking, you don't really top up the hydraulic system in terms of, like, you see people servicing all the time. So when I compress the brake pistons back in, people have topped it up, and it's like they don't leak. It's not like an engine. Exactly, yeah, right. Yeah. So you find that all the time, and it's a real good indicator to have a look, as you mentioned, that the pads will be getting low, so which is an indicator that the brake fluid will be getting low. All right, so as you saw, spoke to Andy, cool dude. I missed when he gave me props on my customer service, but I'll insert the call I had with him, so you can see kind of how I was speaking to him, articulating, looking at all of his problems, this, that, the other.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Hey, listen, I think best bet is come have a look at everything or bring everything to change. I mean, if you just want to go full force on it, we'll go front pads, rotors, rear shoes, rear drums, rear wheel cylinders. I can flush the brake fluid, do all that kind of stuff, and then from there, you may have missed the start of that call. But as you can imagine, professional, speaking clearly, articulate, these things matter. You gotta sound, you might know everything about the subject, but if you cannot articulate yourself clearly, no one's gonna care. It's the old, you've got $1 billion in the bank, but you cannot access the cash. What's it worth? Not much. And that's kind of why he would have been happy with it. But anyway, we're actually at the job, so let's get stuck into it. I'm going to take the car for a spin just so I can have a feel of what's going on. From there, these front pads and rotors definitely do need to be changed. When that's done, I'm going to pull the rear drums off, have a look, check everything out. If he just needs shoes, we'll throw shoes in. If he needs drums and shoes, we'll throw drums and shoes in. If he needs drums, shoes, and wheel cylinders, we'll do that. If he doesn't need anything, I'll just give it a clean and adjust everything. Downhill, have a feel of the brakes now. I can see that, they're soft. Those rears definitely need to be adjusted. Just that there, I didn't get any shaking or anything like that, but I did get a good amount of, I should say, not a lot of feedback. You can feel this power steering pump's a bit average. You could probably hear it too. Yeah, alright. Very soft. I won't get the brakes too hot, but that's kind of all I need to feel. So start with some front pads and rotors. Only if you really slam your foot on the brakes and the drums are tight, find that they will lock up, especially if someone has set the drums for towing. Say like, you should get a gazebo, you should get an awning. That will take so much time to set up. I don't want to do that. Although, what I have seen is those magnets with the umbrella that you stick on the side of the car. That's something I need. So, I got to get me one of them. Alright, let's have a look. Not too bad, not too bad. These rotors are hot, but these rotors are also, something's going on here, like they are super thin. Give them a measure. I'm looking for the minimum thickness wherever they put them. Gonna have to clean all that, or I can check the new one. So as you can see, I have a different hat on. Unfortunately, I left the mic on my black hat because I'm really, really smart. So you cannot hear anything I'm saying through this whole process, and it was some good stuff. But I'm just gonna have to time lapse this until I get to the next side. Spin around. I'm also going to take it for a spin just to test some stuff. Don't know why it's so blurry. Did those fronts. Man, I didn't record. I left this on my black hat. Ah well, you didn't miss much. Oh, you would have seen what I did anyway, so that's pretty good. Just going to take this for a spin. Brakes feel a bit better already. I'm not going to bed them in just yet because I don't want everything to get stupid hot. Just moving it so I can reverse, or I should say drive the nose in the driveway, and then I will get stuck into the drums. Alright, ripping the rears off now. There has been a ton of issues, audio issues so far. Apologies. Sometimes the mic works, sometimes it doesn't. Who knows? Who cares? Let me get into this. I don't feel too bad. Yeah, so they're on tight. We'll have to adjust them. You adjust them from the back. There's a little mechanism in there that you spin. If the drum gets tighter, you know you're going the wrong way. Let me put this down. Pretty sure I've wound it all the way back in. There's a couple of little threads here you can chuck a screw in to loosen it off. There we go. Alright, moment of truth. Oh. So, a bit of brake dust. What do you guys reckon? I reckon it ain't too bad. I reckon we adjust everything, bleed everything, and then we go for a spin, because that looks pretty good to me. Don't breathe that stuff in, believe it or not. Just so you guys have a visual on what a new one looks like. It's kind of hard to see, but they're wearing evenly. Everything's sweet. Even down there. There's no point changing stuff if you don't need to. Drum seems pretty sweet. No scoring. I dare say these have been done recently. Like, there's a little groove here, but nothing crazy. So the way I like to adjust this is to chuck the wheel back on actually and do it, because you can do enough, well, you can get enough play like this, but the reality is you need that weight. So that's what I'm going to do. So the way I do it is, there's a few different ways you can do it, but I kind of got my own gauge on how I like them to feel. Especially if he's complaining about a soft pedal as well, which again we'll run through a quick bleed. A quick bleed, and then from there, now you see it's moving. I can't even hear him touching. Or some say kissing the drum. But I just like them to touch a tiniest bit, so let's do that. Perhaps you can hear, perhaps you can't. About this much, where it's just touching. So here is the, see how it's got, try not to swear, see how it's got a lot of free play in it? It's not really what you want to make the brakes feel quite good on the dual cab. You got to make sure these drums are adjusted really well. Yeah. See, the thing is, you don't want to use these screws when it's super stiff, because if you do, you're going to rip the back of the pins out that hold the shoes on. Ask me how I know. Again, same thing. Nice and clean. No leaks. Heaps of meat. Another clean, another adjustment, I reckon. You know, what I'll do is I'll take it for a spin after I do all this as well. By that I mean before I bleed the brakes, to see how it feels, because sometimes you can really make it feel much better just from a good adjustment. I've checked here, we got no leaks, it's all good. You can see now, it's not just swinging about. Alright, take it for a spin. Alright, going for a spin. The reason I do it this way is because it's process of elimination. So then I know what's actually causing the issue. Because if I just bleed it, like when I get here, and it doesn't make it better, well, there's no point. Remember, bleed and a brake fluid flush are similar, but not the same thing. Lucky I ain't doing power steering today. Same route to simulate the same conditions. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that feels a bit better. That feels much better actually. But just because I want to do everything I can, I'm going to bleed them now before I go for the final run. We're going to do this as a job, just get this. It makes everything so much easier. Chuck it on about 20 psi. Then I'm going to run around the back, break all the bleed nipples, make sure there's no air. From there, do the front. From there, go for a spin. Okay, all done. Gonna put this away and then go for a spin. Again, I gotta bed these brakes in. Oh, that feels better. Now that is what you want to feel. Again, the usual, we gotta bed them in. Sirens and alarms going off like mad. Right, no one behind me. Take it up to about 60, slow down, about 50% braking. I think he's going to be extremely happy compared to what it felt like before. Again, it's one of those situations where when those drums aren't adjusted properly, you'll get some issues. Most dual cabs, and at least of all D22 Navaras, don't pull up like this. That'll do us. These things get hot quickly. Again, now we're going to do the kind of school run crawl, shopping mall crawl, so you have a listen. Squeaking. Alright, so head back, let the dude know what's up. Tell him even take it for a spin if he wants, but either way, I think he'll be pretty happy. These Navaras have a questionable turning circle. Got that all cleaned up, everything working good there. The rears are in really good nick.
Yeah,
You don't need to change them.
Sweet.
So, drums are good. Got the video, you can check it out later. The shoes are all good. They definitely needed adjusting. That was the main thing. You'll feel the handbrake now. You'll be like, oh,
yeah, okay,
that works now.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the big thing there. In the video again, I'll show you how I kind of adjust it the way I want. It's one of those situations where sometimes in terms of the little adjuster, it's 1 or 2 clicks away from being too tight. That's why I do it with the wheel on. A lot of people don't, but you don't get that same like rotational force you'll get on the wheel. From there, took it for a spin after that. Still a little bit, not much better. Still it could, you know, be a bit better. So I thought, stuff it. I'll just make sure there's no air in the system. Chuck 20 pounds through the whole system.
Okay, terrific.
Feel free to take it for a spin if you want.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
You should be pretty stoked on it. Again, you saw all the work we did. For the most part, a lot of it was those rear brakes. That bleed did help. So, let's see what he thinks when he gets back. Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't feel as spongy as it was.
Yeah, so if there are any issues, any questions like that, message me straight away. Let me know and we can work something else out. Other than that, that's pretty much all you can do.
Yeah, I know.
Unless there's a big leak coming from the, I mean, look.
There's not a leak,
No.
is there? So it's just everything.
Okay, cool. Hey, listen, like I said, any questions, any issues, message me straight away. I'm not one of these people to do a job and you never hear from again. kind of thing. My mission is to make you happy with the vehicle, and from there, you know, your son can be safe and whatnot. But yeah, it's one of those ones where there's only so much you can do on these dual cabs. Now I'm going to end this. He was very happy with everything. I'll talk to you when I get in the car. We'll be talking all day business. All right, just finished up with the customer. His name's Andy. He's a cool dude. Finished up with his brakes. He was happy with them. It's one of those situations where they're much better than they were before. They're not going to pull up like a race car or something like this, but at the end of the day, it's much better now, much safer. As you saw in the end, talked his ear off about business because he's just starting one, so gave him a couple of pieces of advice that I find is helpful. From there, it's one of those situations where that one's done. We got to go to the next one. So thank you so much for watching. Any questions, any comments, let me know, and I will see you in the next one.